training, you can go back and review that. Training catalogue, again, the grouping structure comes into play here. So I can only see things in the training catalogue that my groups allow me to see. So if you had any managerial training, for example, if I wasn't a manager, the system could stop me from seeing that in the catalogue and stop me from trying to book the things that weren't relevant for me. Also, there's a very simple search facility here. If I want to look for a communication course, I could just put in part of the word and then track it and then pull out any items that match that criteria in the title or the description. So quite quick and easy to pick. I can then view, and if I hadn't booked onto the course, I could then register to take that course within the system. Another useful screen in the user side here is the area we call My CPD. Now, it doesn't have to be CPD that's used for. Some people use it for external training processes as a way of just tracking anything that somebody's done outside of the organisation. But in an organisation like yours, maybe that this is a useful way of keeping track of CPD as you would understand it, and tracking the number of hours that somebody's undertaken. So we basically have examples here for the external training. I carried out some first aid training, for example. I can actually attach to that, if I need to, a document that can then be looked at. So I might have a training record attached to it. And it's just a way of making sure that anything that happens outside of the control of the system relating to training can be entered into the system and monitored in the same way. Anything entered by an employee would need to be signed off by either managers or by administrators before it's going to be accepted in the system. But it's a useful way of tracking it all in one place.
Yeah.
I'll leave off forms. Forms are just if you have any feedback forms, it will be all collated in one area to make sure it's easy for people to find those. So that's really a quick overview of the functions that an employee can carry out within the system here. Any questions? Anything that you need me to go in more detail on that?
No, I don't think so. It looks quite good. I'm thinking how, obviously the guys in HR that you've been dealing with, they're going to set up all the standard stuff, health and safety, and the money laundering and all of those ones. I'll be looking at it from a point of view, one of the groups within that you're talking about. So we'll be like the platform group, and then we'll look to put our own stuff within that group.
Perfect. Yeah.
So would that be? You talk about how many levels of access is there? You've got staff or manager, or is it staff and manager?
So it's staff and manager. So as a manager, you can see there's a little manager dashboard button here. It's only visible for people that are marked as managers in the system.
Right. So they can see their.
They can see their information. So if I just log in quickly to my manager here,
does that link in with People Gateway? I see that. Yeah, right. Oh, that's quite good.
So basically, when we take a feed from People Gateway, it updates the system to say which employees belong to each manager, and then it will track their information in the system. So the key thing really is things like the completion. I can look at my team. I can go in there and see that there's 40% of training that hasn't been done. I can then go into individuals in the team and say, what is it that I haven't done? What date should have been done by? Or I can actually, if I can go into an individual's record and look in sort of detail at anything that they've done. If I just pick one that I've logged in as the best example. So I can see all of the online courses that they're undertaking. I can see all of the CPD that they've logged, all within there. So giving that real access to managers, as well as also the ability to assign out training. So on the back of an appraisal or a one-to-one, I might say, well, there's a deficiency in communication. Rather than having to get the administrative team to do anything about it, as a manager, I can say I want to book somebody to have to retake their induction, for example, or I might want to push them onto a particular classroom course. And so again, as a manager, I can say I want them to go on the health and safety course, choose when that course is being run, and then push the employees onto that. So the managers can have a really active role in the use of the system, which quite often gets much better buy-in from managers, because they can see the benefit and they can actually have a bit of control over what happens there.
Yeah, that was good from a manager's point of view.
Yeah.
From my, I'm not a manager, but from my point of view, I might be updating, putting some of these courses on.
So from your point of view, you would be going in as an administrator, which is the other side of the system. So if you just log in I won't spend too long in here because there's obviously quite a lot of bits and pieces within here.
Yeah.
But this is, as you can probably see, not quite as pretty as the student side, because administrators never get the pretty stuff to look at. So this is really where the two main things are set up. You have all of the information relating to the users, most of which will come through from the People Gateway. But if there's any additional things that need to be added in, or if there's any extra information that needs to be tracked, or any training courses that need to be assigned from within the system, we can do that through this process here. And then you have the setup of the actual content in the system. So if I look at my communication course, my induction course that we were looking at on the employee, I've got an induction course set up. Within that course, if I just edit it, this is where I have all of the different parts of the induction course being applied. So the information security CBT piece, the classroom course, the sign-off process, all of them built up. And the system basically allows you to create all of those different elements, or to load in the case of the CBT, if you've created it in that SCORM format, you can just load that in. Also, should also highlight, you don't just have to create it, you can purchase SCORM courses. So a lot of people will just go to third-party providers who've already got the course that they want, buy those and load them into our system, and allow the tracking to take place. And this is also where you set up key things like rules. So it could be, for this induction course, I need to have it retaken every 2 years. So in the rules behind the scenes, I can say automatically reassign this to people in 2 years' time, less 3 months, less 90 days. So because you don't want to just give people training when their last training's run out, you may want to have a lead time to make them aware 90 days before they need to retake that training, give them time to take it before their previous trainings have run out of scope. And it's all controlled within here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also, obviously, the other key thing for administrators is the ability to run off reports. So you're able to track any particular training that's gone. You can have a look at things like the training courses that you're running, and see who's completed or hasn't completed. You can look at completion within groups. You can look at the actual assessments, look at the results from the assessments and see, for example, if there's any questions that everybody's getting wrong. Is that because you've actually written the question in a way that makes it difficult to understand, or is it that you're just not giving them the information in that course for them to be able to get that right? So a lot of useful tools like that within the process. And then the other one crucial thing about the admin side is everything is audited. So if I need to, I can go against any individual employee, just find their record, look at the audit trail against them, and see exactly what's happened. Things like when they've tried to log in, also any changes that have happened to records. I can look at. If I actually go into the detail here, it will show me every single piece of information that's been entered into the system. So from a risk and compliance point of view, every piece of information you could want really for auditing purposes.
Okay. As an administrator, would I have access to just the group that I'm dealing with, or as an administrator, do you have access to everything? It
depends on the setup. There's a permissions control, so we've got an area called Manage Permissions, and within the area here you would set up what you would allow people to do. So I've got one set up called Full Administration, which has access to every single group and every single function. What you would do is you set up an example one that just gave you access to, I've got 17 groups here, but just the one group.
I'm just more because I'm thinking the HR guys want me to have access to everything.
Sure.
So I'll need it for my area. If you've got 1,000 people in here, I need access to the 150 that are in my department, sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can put that in place.
Yeah, that's fine as long as that's good. Good.
Okay, well, it's been quite a quick run through just to give you an idea of what the system's like. If you think of any questions following on from this, you've got my email address now, so just send through anything to me and I'll get back to you on that straight away. And obviously, when Heather views the video and talks to you, make it clear to her that anything that's not clear from those processes, just to contact me and I'll run through it with her.
We'll do that. When will you? Does that video? Will you email that?
Yeah, I'll email it through. I'll probably, depending on the size, I might have to just send you a link to where you can download it from. But I'll transfer that to you hopefully later on today.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
No problems, Colin. Okay, well, if there's anything else you think of, as I say, get back to me. If not, I'll speak to you again soon. Are you on the call on Friday?
I will be, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I'll get a chance to say Happy Christmas to you at that point, so I won't say it now. Okay, fantastic. I'll catch up with you again on Friday. You have a good rest of the week.
Friday.
Cheers.
Take
care. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.